Hey guys, and welcome to the latest Kronos AV Review Diaries. Today we actually got a video by request by a number of customers, and what the speaker they wanted us to feature in the review diaries was actually one of the Chario range, which is the Aviator Ghibli. The reason we got asked by so many to do this speaker was actually for a number of reasons. Number one, obviously it comes in at a nice price point at about $3,500. But also it's obviously a stand mount that has the potential to give really solid bass. So a lot of customers who maybe can't visit us in store wanted us to do a video to give a bit more detail about that and about how much bass they could expect, or even how usable these are as a speaker as against using a floor stander. So the Ghibli for us is one of the key products in the Chario range. As I mentioned before, it comes in at about £3,500, so it's really well priced, and you get all those excellent features that you see in the likes of the Amelias or the Sonnets even, and into the Academy range. Again, these are solid walnut cabinets, and what's really interesting about, well, the entire Chario range really, but the Ghibli's at £3,500 is every single piece that is in this speaker is sourced or made in Italy. The only thing, with the exception of that, is the magnets that they use in their drivers, simply because they say they're not produced in Italy, so they have to go elsewhere. But every other component is sourced and made in Italy, which, when you consider the price point, is exceptional, given that these are a hand-built cabinet, they're made of solid walnut, and you're getting true Italian product there. It's a really, really good price. But of course, a lot of people question, does that mean that you're losing a bit out in the sound quality? Is it all about the styling? But absolutely not. I mean, Chario have done this in a very clever way, because the fact they built everything in-house, including their drivers, everything, means that they're able to keep the costs down, which means that you're not paying those additional costs. And therefore you're getting a speaker with incredible sonic abilities, that's built with pure Italian craftsmanship, but that is also beautiful to look at. You'll see as well on the Ghibli's, like the other range of speakers in the Aviator range, they use this reverse array driver setup. So you will see, of course, you have the mid-range here actually above the tweeter. The reason for that is essentially they feel that this gives the tweeter in a better position for most listeners. So the vocals, the high ends, the instruments, all those details that are coming out of that tweeter are better presented to the human ear. So when you're listening, obviously those details are coming through much more. Whereas with the likes of the mid-range, while it is of course still directional, it's less important as, say, the tweeter. The tweeter is the bit that's giving us most of that information, whereas the mid-range is giving us more of that mid-level to bass and weight to the sound. As always, like all Chario speakers, it also uses this enlarged tweeter. Again, this gives weight to the voices, weight to the instruments, and a bit of weight to the high end. What's the advantage of that? Effectively, that means you're never going to get brightness, you're never going to get fatigue, because it has weight behind it. It's not like some tweeters that are really, really sharp. They're very detailed, but they become very sharp and fatiguing. This is the absolute opposite. It gives you all the detail, but it has weight and depth, so it can never be bright, never be fatiguing, and most importantly, can be used pretty much anywhere. So these can be used pretty much up against the back wall, pushed against the side wall. It doesn't really matter. They are downfiring, so you have your downfiring port here. But the key thing is that Chario use their own cabinetry as reflection points. They do not rely on the room, and that's a key element to Chario. And to actually demonstrate that, I'll actually show you with the other mic here. You'll see obviously the midsection here. While these are all made from solid walnut, the midsection here is obviously much more dense, and it has obviously this matte coating on it. So if we tap here and then tap on the side of the cabinet, you will hear there is a key tone difference, and that is because you obviously have your tweeter, your driver, but also your crossover all mounted in this midsection, and then you have the walnut side panels. So these are used as reflection points. These have more flex and more ability to adjust the sound and achieve different acoustics. This center point is more rigid because a lot of what Chariot do in order to create that bass and that depth to the sound is rigidity. These drivers are extremely rigid, and that gives better vibration, that gives better bass and depth, but it's tight, it's punchy, and obviously, as I say, then it uses these side panels to adjust the sound, to make the sound. So this is why the room is effectively irrelevant. So you can literally put these anywhere and they work. And it's just incredibly clever engineering and really well thought out design. You'll also see, just on the engineering point of view, these do come with their own dedicated stands if you wish. They come essentially with large rubber feet if you want to use them on a shelf, but they also obviously have their own dedicated stands as well. What's really clever is these stands bolt directly into the space of the speaker. Now, that is very beneficial and a really clever idea for a number of reasons. Number one, obviously, it's taking all that vibration out, so the isolation properties of it are extremely good. It also, of course, means they're extremely steady. As you can see here, I can rock this fairly heavily and it's not going anywhere, of course, because it is physically bolted. But also, again, it achieves that rigidity. So instead of, for example, a speaker sitting on a stand, down firing obviously the pressure from the port into a stand, that's then that's going to create movement. With these, because they are bolted direct in, you don't have a top plate here. That means that your bass port is directly firing out, so that's going to give you massively improved bass. There's nothing essentially to muffle that bass, and that's why with the Ghibli as well, you can actually achieve incredible bass response, but you don't lose any high end or mid. And as I said before, you have all that depth and three-dimensionality of that tweeter. These tweeters and the Chario speakers are absolutely genius. That is the key to Chario, are those tweeters. That enlarged tweeter, the vocals are untouchable compared to when you listen to these, they're incredible the way the vocals and the instruments work. But you can see, hopefully, a lot of the engineering aspects of the Charios, the very, very clever way the cabinet's designed. Obviously, as I mentioned before, with the side panels, with the center panels, obviously with the stands being directly bolted in, what that's doing to the bass. There's a lot of clever engineering here, and on top of the clever engineering, you're getting real Italian craftsmanship. As I mentioned, they're beautifully built, stunning to look at, and as I mentioned also before, all the parts are effectively sourced and built in Italy, bar the magnets for the drivers. But you're getting a lot of speaker here for the price. And one thing I really love, and we actually saw this firsthand with Chario, even the wood here on the side panels, the amount of process that has to go through before it actually can be used is incredible, because it has to effectively be tuned. Because of that, as I said before, it has to obviously create that internal acoustic cabinetry. This has to be a very particular type of walnut. It also has to be aged correctly. It has to have a certain moisture content. So there's actually a lot of tests Chario have to do before a piece of wood is actually selected to be put into the manufacturing process. And Chario admit themselves, they say technically this causes issues for them, because they said obviously if they get a bad batch of wood or the moisture content's wrong, it delays production. It's not ideal for business, but acoustically it's very, very important, and they can't do anything else about it. And I love that, because it's not all about business, it's about the sound. And to be fair, in terms of lead times, we've never had a problem. But they did say once in a blue moon it can happen, or the risk of it happening is there. But obviously they would keep you well informed of that. But we really love this Chario range, and the Ghibli at 3,500 is a real standout product, because for us it's really, really cheap, obviously respectively, for what you're getting. Sonically it's exceptional, it's beautifully built, it's got such clever engineering ideas in it, and really there's no downside to the Ghibli. The only real reason, I guess you could say, is if you want a floor stander Obviously the likes of the Amelia, for example, will give you physically more depth and base because it is a floor stander, it has an enlarged cabinet. But as far as a stand mount goes at this kind of size, these are one of the best speakers at creating that depth and dynamics and three-dimensionality. Again, as you'll see in the drivers, they almost use this sort of almost like a horn style design, and again that's for dispersion purposes. That's to fill the room much larger, and again you have that enlarged tweeter which is really firing out all those details as well. So yeah, I really urge anyone to come in and have a listen to the Ghiblis. They are an absolutely stunning speaker. Obviously you can compare them to the Amelias, which are the floor standing version as well. And again, they are obviously available in different ways, with stands, without stands, etc. So there's a lot of options there. But yeah, I really would encourage you to come in and have a listen. I hope that has answered some of the questions we got, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, if you have any requests for any of our review diary videos, please always send them in or drop them in the comments below. We're always happy to try and help out when we can. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you soon in the next one.